It is necessary for us to have a correct understanding before practicing Buddhism. Otherwise, all the time spent in cultivation would be futile, as the most superior result would not be obtained. Therefore, I would like to briefly explain the true nature of Buddhism. Chinese history tells us that about 3,000 years ago, Buddha Shakyamuni, the founder of Buddhism, was born in northern India. He lived 79 years and dedicated 49 of them to teaching. In 67 AD, 1,000 years after he entered nirvana, these teachings were formally introduced into China. Prior to acquiring a good knowledge of Buddhism, we need to understand the terms Buddha, Dharma, Buddhist Dharma, and Buddhist teaching, as they are important to our cultivation. Buddha is a Sanskrit word meaning wisdom and enlightenment. Why was it transliterated as Buddha and not translated into wisdom and enlightenment? The meaning of Buddha is so profound and extensive that these two words were insufficient to cover the original meaning. Therefore, transliteration was used with the help of further explanations. In essence, Buddha means wisdom. In application or function, it means enlightenment. There are 3 levels of wisdom. First, general and all knowledge wisdom is the correct understanding of the noumena or the essence. It is the wisdom of knowing the general aspect of all existences, the wisdom of Theravada sages. Second, differentiation wisdom is the wisdom that can correctly comprehend all of the infinite phenomena of the universe. The wisdom of knowing the discriminative aspect of all existences. The wisdom of the Bodhisattvas. How did these phenomena arise? From where? In what way? What were their results? Third, overall and perfect knowledge wisdom is the exhaustive and perfect wisdom, the perception and comprehension of the truth of life and the universe. Without the slightest doubt or error, it is the wisdom of Buddhas. Buddha Shakyamuni, possessing all 3 of these kinds of wisdom, completely understood the true reality of life and the universe. The function of wisdom is enlightenment. There are 3 classifications of enlightenment. First is self-enlightenment, a state in which one possesses no erroneous thoughts, views, speech, or behavior. Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas and Theravada Buddhism have attained this level of self-enlightenment, but they have not yet generated the Bodhi mind, the mind to help all others achieve enlightenment as well. Second is enlightenment of self and others, a state in which one helps all others to reach enlightenment after achieving their own. Bodhisattvas in Mahayana Buddhism have attained this level. Third is perfect, complete enlightenment, a state in which one reaches both perfection in enlightenment for self, as well as helping others to reach enlightenment. This is the state of the Buddhas. The Buddha told us that this perfect wisdom and virtue are innate to all beings. The sutras, recorded teachings of the Buddha, tell us that all sentient beings can attain Buddhahood, and every being possesses the wisdom and virtuous character of the Buddha. In other words, all beings are equal to Buddhas in nature. However, due to our discriminating and wandering thoughts and attachments, which are the root cause of all sufferings and disasters, we have temporarily lost our original Buddha nature. Thus, we continue being born until the endless cycle of birth and death. The more we rid ourselves of these wandering thoughts and attachments, the more we will experience freedom from suffering, and the more wisdom and enlightenment we will uncover. Once we completely free ourselves from discriminating and wandering thoughts and attachments, our fixations to certain ideas or objects, we will regain our lost Buddhahood, our original perfect enlightened self, our original self-nature Buddha. Possessing great wisdom and enlightenment enables us to truly know all that exists and all that is infinite. This includes matters and objects as tiny as a speck of dust or the finest hair on the human body, to those as great as the infinite universe. All of these are the objects of our perception, or wisdom and enlightenment. The Buddha used the word Dharma to symbolize all of these infinite phenomena. Buddhist Dharma, or principle, is the infinite wisdom and enlightenment, the perception of all things and laws in life and the universe. Chinese people often say that Buddhist Dharma is as infinite as the object perceived, and the wisdom perceivable is infinite. This wisdom is innate to our original self-nature. The Buddha said, "Our innate perception and the objects in the universe perceived are one, not two." When we think about it logically, if the Buddha's words are complete and perfect, then we can believe that this wisdom and enlightenment are ultimate and perfect. However, if perceived and perceivable are opposites, then wisdom can hardly be complete and perfect, but rather it is limited. The Buddha told us that knowable and known, perceived and perceivable are one, not two. This is called the one true Dharma realm, the most genuine, perfect, and highest realm, as explained to us in the Flower Adornment Sutra. The Western Pure Land of the Pure Land School also belongs to and is not separate from the one true Dharma realm. The Western Pure Land was created by Buddha Amitabha as an ideal place of cultivation, as those who are born there are no longer subject to reincarnation within the 6 realms. In 1923, a well-known Buddhist scholar, Mr. Jing-U Ouyang, gave a speech at Nanjing Normal University in China, entitled "Buddhism is neither a religion nor a philosophy, but an essential for our modern world." It caused considerable sensation. His well-documented speech gave much conclusive support to the proper definition and viewpoint of Buddhism. This question arises in all those who wish to understand it. Buddhism is a most virtuous and perfect education directed by the Buddha towards all sentient beings in the universe. This education covers a boundless range of phenomena and principles that is much broader than what is currently studied in today's universities. In regards to time, it encompasses the past, present, and future. In regards to space, it encompasses everything from our daily lives to the infinite universe. Buddhism is an education of the wisdom and the understanding of life and the universe. It is not a religion. The teachings of Confucius concern one lifetime. The teachings of the Buddhas concern infinite lifetimes. How can we tell that Buddhism is an education? Today, the terms teacher and student are only used in school. However, we call Buddha Shakyamuni our original teacher. We call ourselves students, as did our predecessors in ancient China. This is unlike religions, in which the God and his or her disciples does not have a teacher-student relationship, but rather a parent-child relationship. In Buddhism, however, it is clearly stated that Buddhas are teachers and we are the students. Bodhisattvas and we are classmates. They were the Buddha's former students, while we are his current students. Furthermore, a monk or nun is called Hershang, which is the transliteration of the Sanskrit word meaning a direct mentor who provides teachings and acts as our personal guide. We share a close teacher-student relationship with this individual. Temples or way places have only one Hershang. Teachers who teach on behalf of the Hershang are called Ashali. Their speech and behavior can be models for all of us to follow. Others who do not directly teach would be called Dharma masters or fascia. They are like teachers whose lectures we do not attend or those who do not directly teach us. All of these terms are characteristic of education and are not found in religion. For further examples of how Buddhism is an education, we can examine Chinese way places where the activities are held. This way place is an educational institution combining Buddhist teaching and art. It is similar to the combination of a modern school and a museum. Nowadays, people pursue art in everything. Buddhism, however, practiced artistic teaching as early as 3,000 years ago. The staff organization of the way place further illustrates the similarities to modern schools. The Heshang is equivalent to the principal of the school, deciding policies, making plans for courses of study, and employing the teachers. Reporting to the Heshang are 3 associates or program executives. They are in charge of everything directly related to teaching, advising and disciplining, and to general services. In China, a traditional way place was regarded as a Buddhist university. From this administrative structure, we can further see that Buddhism truly is an education. Currently, there are at least 5 forms of Buddhism. The first form is the traditional form that I have just discussed. It is the education of the Buddha's teachings. This original form is rarely seen today. The other 4 forms are deviations from this one. The second form is religious Buddhism. Although originally not a religion, it has become one in the past few hundred years. Why? The external form of Buddhism is indeed that of religion. It is no longer the education found in traditional way places, where cultivators had up to 16 hours a day for both cultivation and for study. The lessons included listening to lectures and the following discussions. The cultivation session included either Buddha name chanting or sitting meditation. Study and cultivation were used hand in hand to strive for the right and proper understanding and practice, to purify practitioners' minds, and to eventually attain the state of enlightenment. Since the monks and nuns spent 16 hours a day on study and cultivation, there was little time for discriminatory or wandering thoughts, and so achievement could be attained relatively quickly. Unfortunately, this traditional form of Buddhism is seldom seen nowadays in way places, for many of them have become a place to make offerings, to pray for blessings, and to conduct memorial services. it is little wonder that people regard Buddhism as a religion. The third form is philosophical or academic Buddhism, often seen as a course in today's colleges. This is inappropriate. Why? Buddhism education is a complete university in itself. It includes all branches of learning. But now, it is reduced to merely a philosophical discipline. Regarding it as such, we miss the importance of the fact that the teachings are a necessity for all sentient beings. Why? Because these teachings can resolve all problems ranging from those in our current lives to those in the future, including even those of birth and death. Buddhism's scope is broad and profound, and regarding it as merely an academic study is frankly another deviation. These two forms cause no serious harm to society. Religions try to encourage people to do good. Philosophy strives to pursue truth and to gain knowledge. The fourth and most recent deviation in Buddhism is as a show. It consists of a few hours of music and singing, with a short talk in between. However, the fifth form is a deviation that has gone too far. That is the one of the distortion of Buddhism into a cult. This deviated form has appeared in the last 30 to 40 years. The exploitation of Buddhism by evil cults has gone too far. In the name of Buddhism, they take advantage of the weaknesses of human nature, creating chaos by cheating and misleading people, endangering the safety of the public. Some of their propaganda and deeds can sound extremely enticing and appealing. However, if we join their activities, which are doomed to ruin, by the time we realize our mistake, the damage will have already been done. It will then be too late for regret. Therefore, we need to choose wisely which form to practice in order to receive Buddhism's true benefits. What is the ultimate goal of the Buddha's teachings? It is to attain the perfect, complete enlightenment. Transliterated from Sanskrit, it is Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Out of respect, this phrase was maintained in its original form rather than being translated. There are 3 stages within this enlightenment: proper enlightenment, equal and proper enlightenment, and perfect, complete enlightenment. The Buddha told us that scientists, philosophers, and religious scholars may have reached a good understanding about life and the universe. But this realization is neither complete nor perfect. Why? Although they have obtained some understanding, they are far from having freedom from anxiety. They are far from ending their afflictions. They indulge themselves in the 5 poisons of greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. They remain mired in all the troubles of human relationships and are swayed by personal feelings. In other words, they are human. If a person has severed greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt, and afflictions, the Buddha will acknowledge this person as having attained the first level, that of proper enlightenment. He or she will be called an arhat, the initial academic degree in Buddhism. Arhats differ from Buddhas in the way that they use their mind. They use it in the same manner that we do. The difference is that we still have afflictions, while arhats do not. The next higher level of enlightenment is that of equal and proper enlightenment, which is represented by bodhisattvas. They resemble Buddhas in motivation, but have not yet reached the same level of enlightenment. The minds of bodhisattvas are genuine. They remain forever unchanged and are similar to those of the Buddhas. Buddhas use the full and perfect true heart. Buddhas represent the highest level of enlightenment, which is the perfect, complete enlightenment. In Buddhist classic literature, the perfect, true mind of a Buddha was symbolized by a full moon. The mind of a bodhisattva was symbolized by a crescent moon, which was neither full nor perfect. And the mind of an arhat was symbolized by the moonlight reflected from the surface of water. It is not real. These 3 levels of enlightenment can be compared to our college educational system. The level or degree of arhat is similar to earning an undergraduate degree. The level of bodhisattva is similar to earning a master's degree, and the level of Buddha is similar to earning a doctorate. The word Buddha is not exclusive to Buddha Shakyamuni, but is a common title for any being who has attained the perfect, complete enlightenment. Thus, Buddha, Bodhisattva, and Arhat are only names or titles to represent the levels of enlightenment, or a degree we receive in Buddhism. And they are certainly not deities to be worshipped. So a Buddha is one who has fully comprehended the truth of life and the universe, and who has acquired the ultimate and perfect wisdom. This is also the goal of Buddhist education, to enable beings to attain this same level of wisdom. Therefore, Buddhism is an education of wisdom. The principle of Buddhism is to break through all superstitions and delusions. It is to resolve delusion, to attain happiness and enlightenment, to eliminate suffering, to gain serenity and purity of mind. What is delusion? When we do not thoroughly and properly understand the phenomena around us, we tend to be deluded, to have wrong ideas which lead us to make mistakes. Then we suffer ill consequences as a result. However, if we have correct understanding about life and the universe, we will be free from mistakes in thought, judgment, and behavior. Then our result, our effect, will be favorable. Thus, resolving delusion to attain enlightenment is the cause, and eliminating suffering to attain enlightenment and purity is the effect. Only through resolving superstition and delusion can enlightenment be attained. This is the objective of the Buddha's teaching. This wisdom will enable all beings to differentiate true from false, proper from improper, right from wrong, and good from bad. It can help us to establish a dynamic and caring attitude toward life and our surroundings. So we can clearly see that Buddhism is neither passive nor obsolete, nor is it retreating from society. As said in the Buddha Speaks of the Infinite Life Sutra of adornment, purity, equality, and enlightenment of the Mahayana school, or the Infinite Life Sutra. Buddhism can perfectly solve all afflictions and problems. It enables us to attain true and ultimate benefits by creating fulfilling lives, happy families, harmonious societies, prosperous societies, and a peaceful world. These are the objectives of the Buddha's teachings for our world now. The ultimate objectives of abandoning all worries, thus transcending the 6 realms, are even more incredibly wonderful. Therefore, we can see that Buddhism is an education that will enable us to attain truth, virtue, beauty, wisdom, and genuine eternal happiness. After understanding the goals and principles of the Buddha's teachings, we need to deepen our understanding of the Dharma. What is the Dharma? It is the true reality of life and the universe. It is all the teachings of the Buddhas, which are included in sutras. These ancient textbooks documented all of the Buddha's teachings and were recorded by his students. The most basic one of Mahayana Buddhism is the original vow of Earth Treasure Bodhisattva Sutra. It can be regarded as a textbook for first grade students, within which the truth was clearly spoken, not with spoken language, but with emissions of light. This sutra, as told by Buddha Shakyamuni, begins with his emitting infinite bright lights, called the Great Perfection Brightness Cloud, the Great Compassion Brightness Cloud, the Great Wisdom Brightness Cloud, the Great Prajna Brightness Cloud, the Great Samadhi Brightness Cloud, the Great Auspicious Brightness Cloud, the Great Good Fortune Brightness Cloud, the Great Merit Brightness Cloud, the Great Refuge Brightness Cloud, and the Great Merit Brightness Cloud. Although 10 kinds are given, it does not mean that there are only 10. The number 10 is regarded as a symbol of perfection, a complete cycle symbolizing infinity. What is called perfection in the Earth Treasure Sutra is called infinity in the Infinite Life Sutra. Not only life can be infinite, but everything can be infinite. However, of all infinities, that of life is the most important. We may have boundless wealth and immeasurable good fortune, but how can we enjoy them if we do not have sufficient lifespans? Therefore, the Pure Land School uses infinite life to symbolize all infinities. In the Earth Treasure Sutra, the 10 brightness clouds represent this concept. One is all, and all is one, clearly explains the infinite cosmos and life. Upon what did the Buddha base his teachings of life and the universe? First is the Great Perfection Brightness Cloud. The Great Perfection of Tibetan Buddhism is the true self-nature in Chinese Buddhism. The true self-nature is great perfection. The following 9 clouds of compassion, wisdom, etc. are perfect. Everything is perfect. This great perfection is our own innate, true self-nature. It was from this initial point that the Buddha imparted the infinite teachings to us, thus revealing the true nature of all phenomena in the universe. Everything that the Buddha taught to us is innate. It is our original true self-nature that is within each of us. The purpose of his 49 years of teachings was to help us to learn how to live happy and fulfilling lives. This unique and complete education is for all sentient beings and is much more vast and extensive than that found in our modern educational system. People work hard every day. What drives them to get up early in the morning and work long hours before coming home? It is the pursuit of prestige and wealth, especially wealth. Would people continue to work if they could not receive money or some degree of prestige after having worked for a whole day? Of course not. Most would become listless and unwilling to work. Therefore, for most people, the driving force in our society is wealth, followed by prestige. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas desire neither wealth nor prestige, yet they work harder than we do. What is the driving force behind this conscientious teaching while expecting nothing in return? It is the second brightness cloud, the great compassion brightness cloud. It is like a mother's love for her children, especially her newborn baby, but it is more profound in depth. A mother does so out of natural love and compassion, asking for nothing in return. This love is called a heart of compassion. The compassion of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas towards all sentient beings is boundless, unconditional, and universal. It is the eternal driving force that compels them to help all sentient beings. Therefore, the great compassion brightness cloud follows the great perfection brightness cloud. In order to teach others, we practice cultivation as well as encouraging others to do likewise. We do so to sincerely introduce Buddhism to other people. What is our driving force? Compassion. But if we do so for wealth or prestige, then it is purely business. And this is totally wrong, for it violates the very spirit of Buddhism. In fact, the circulation of the teachings, including sutras and reference works, should be unconditional. Copyrighted materials do not accord with the true spirit of Buddhism. Every time I am presented with a Buddhist book, I first check for the copyright page. If it says this book is protected by copyright, any unauthorized printing of this book shall lead to punishment. I will not read the book. If asked why I do not wish to read it, my answer is that any true and good knowledge should benefit others unconditionally, and that reprinting should be allowed. It would be a waste of time and energy to read such copyrighted books. Only the writings of those who are broad-minded and kind-hearted, and who sincerely practice what they teach, deserve to be read, to be studied. How can we expect a narrow-minded, profit-seeking person to write good things and conclude them with a great perfection? Compassion is built on rationale and is free from emotion. To be otherwise, it is delusion, and therefore it is wrong. There are two Buddhist sayings. The first, compassion is the essence. Convenient means is the way to accommodate people with different capacities. The second seemingly says the complete opposite. Compassion often incurs misfortune, and convenience often leads to immorality. The reason behind this apparent contradiction is that if we ignore rationality and instead yield to emotion, compassion then often results in misfortune, while doing favors for someone gives rise to immorality. Hence, this is followed by the great wisdom brightness cloud, the third brightness cloud, the third of the 10 great perfections. Perfect wisdom gives rise to perfect compassion. Wisdom is the method of convenience. Only by wisely utilizing methods of wisdom and compassion can we help sentient beings be enlightened, be freed from suffering. The next brightness cloud is the great prajna, intuitive wisdom brightness cloud. What is the difference between intuitive wisdom and wisdom? The Great Wisdom Sutra states, prajna, innocence, knowing nothing. It is the intuitive wisdom without knowing, and yet knowing everything. Without knowing is intuitive wisdom. Knowing everything is wisdom. In other words, one is essence and the other is function. From a different perspective, wisdom is the knowledge of things and the realization of truth. Intuitive wisdom, our original wisdom, is that which can free people from afflictions and worries. Acquired wisdom is that which can interpret all phenomena in the universe. It arises from the original wisdom. if we cannot completely attain the great perfection of the universe, how can we teach about it to others? When worries are completely eradicated and ignorance dispelled, we can attain our own great perfection and restore our original ability. From that point on, we are in a state of total awareness and are capable of doing everything. We are omniscient and omnipotent. The brightness clouds of wisdom and intuitive wisdom contain profound meanings and are the perfect, complete wisdom. How do we attain wisdom? It is innate to our self-nature, but it is now covered. Where is it? The Buddha told us that it is not permanently lost, but just temporarily lost. When we reach enlightenment, we can uncover this wisdom. Then how can we free ourselves from delusion and recover our original ability? One method taught by Buddha Shakyamuni is deep concentration, which is also called Great Samadhi, Brightness Cloud. Samadhi is another transliteration from Sanskrit, meaning the proper enjoyment, which has the same meaning as deep concentration. Buddhism emphasizes cultivation or correcting our thoughts and behavior. It is to correct everything that arises from our body, mouth, and mind, the three karmas of erroneous behavior, speech, and thought. To correct these three karmas, we start from the mind. As the Zen school teaches, cultivation should start from the root. What is the root? It is the mind. If our mind is proper, then our thought, speech, and behavior will likewise be proper. In Buddhism, there are innumerable methods of practice. All of these methods are ways for concentration in our cultivation. Not only the Zen school emphasizes concentration in cultivation. All the schools do, although they may not use the term meditation. Pure Land Buddhism calls it one mind undisturbed, or purity of mind. Tibetan Buddhism explains it as the three mystic practices, the three karmas of body, mouth, and mind, corresponding to that of the Buddha. Used here, corresponding means concentration.